Hello everyone, this is General History and this is part 7 of our Ultimate General Civil War playthrough. We are about to fight the Battle of Shiloh. Shiloh was probably the first real wake-up call for the nation. Now, Bull Run was a big battle and it saw some pretty intense casualties, but it would pale in comparison to Shiloh. Shiloh was a horrendously fought battle and would claim, really, like I said, be the big wake-up call and just show the nation that this was not going to be an easy war. Now, leading up to the Battle of Shiloh, Grant had just taken the Forts Henry and Donaldson on the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers, uh, which opened the door for Buell's army to march into Nashville unopposed. Albert Sidney Johnston had retreated his forces all the way to Corinth, which was a major rail hub and a target of the Union at the time. He was under heavy pressure as the Union marched south. Now, Henry Halleck, who was in command of both Buell and uh, Grant under the newly formed Army of the Mississippi. Grant commanded the Army of the Tennessee. Buell commanded the Army of the Ohio. If you don't know, uh, Union armies were typically named after the major water feature that they were near. So you had like the Army of the Potomac, Army of the Tennessee, Army of the Ohio, Army of the Cumberland, Army of the Mississippi, those sorts of things. So they were always named after sort of the rivers, whereas typically Confederate armies were named by the general area in which they were in, so like the Army of Northern Virginia. Uh, but Henry Halleck, who was in command of both Grant and Buell, had actually sidelined Grant shortly before the battle uh, and put his command, I believe it was Kirby Smith, he put in command of Grant's army. I can't remember, but he'd actually was very jealous of Grant's victories at Henry and Donaldson, and that was the reason for the sidelining. He had cited that Grant was drunk, he was disobeying orders, there wasn't very good communication between Grant and Halleck, but Washington wanted Halleck to substantiate his claims, which Halleck was unable to do so. Halleck was very egotistical and was jealous of Grant's fame that he had gotten from Henry and Donaldson. So that was the reason for it. But like I said, when Washington, specifically I believe Lincoln, wanted him to substantiate his claims, Halleck basically said, "Oh, the matter's been cleared up. I'm going to reinstate Grant." So that's what happened. Grant would actually not know about this until after the war. Uh, Halleck's reasons for sideline Grant. Grant apparently would even be very close to resigning at this point uh, before he gets reinstated. But anyway, after the fall of Nashville, Halleck sends Grant to Savannah. Grant then crosses to Tennessee and camps his army at Pittsburgh Landing as well as Crump's Landing, while he took up his headquarters in not Nashville, Savannah, as he waited for Don Carlos Buell's army, like I said, of the Ohio, to join up in Savannah, where they would then march to Corinth. Now, Albert Sidney Johnston, who had based his army in Corinth, Mississippi, which was a major rail junction for the Confederacy, had figured out that Grant was now stationed at Pittsburgh Landing and was alone and waiting for Don Carlos Buell. He knew that if the two armies would merge, he wouldn't have the strength to fight them. So he ordered his troops to advance out of Corinth and attack Pittsburgh Landing. Uh, Johnson believed Buell to still be several days away from Savannah. However, at the time, uh, William Nelson, a division commander of Buell, had just actually had met up with Grant in Savannah. He was sort of the advanced division of Buell's army. He had arrived, I believe it was on the 5th of April. So as Sidney Johnston is moving up, believing that Buell was still up near Nashville, his army was actually beginning to arrive at Savannah. Now, a lot of this was because of the time it took Albert Sidney Johnson's army to reach Shiloh and Pittsburgh Landing. There were heavy rains, which made moving on the narrow roads to be very difficult, moving men and supplies up there. They had also come in contact with some Union skirmish lines as they approached. It was actually Beauregard, who had actually been transferred west after the Battle of Bull Run, actually tried to talk Sidney Johnson out of doing the attack. He believed the element of surprise had been lost, but Sidney Johnson would, of course, then say the famous words I said at the beginning, which was, "I would fight them if they were a million," and force the attack. Now, contrary to Beauregard's beliefs, even though they had run into the pickets, even though their army was actually very undisciplined and was they had set up camp about, I believe, 2 to 3 miles away from the Union forces at Pittsburgh Landing, and were making a lot of noise. They would make, so they weren't practicing very good noise discipline, and like I said, they were always coming in contact with Union pickets. But even with all this, and this is one of probably the bigger criticisms of not only Grant, but Sherman, who was actually the camp commander at the time of Pittsburgh Landing, because Grant was actually across the river at Cherry Manor near Savannah, is that Grant, believing that the army wouldn't be there for a while, and also believing that the Confederates would not attack him, had actually not really set up any sort of defensive network. They didn't have bulwarks, they didn't have entrenchments, so the camps were very much just out in fields and not really defended all that well. Sherman was even told by his patrollers that they believed there to be a significant Confederate force nearby, and Sherman pretty much shrugged off these warnings, even though it was very well believed that an attack was imminent. So that's really what led up to the Battle of Shiloh. So let's go ahead and get in here and let's start talking and really going through the Battle of Shiloh. So as you can see, this is the Tennessee River here. This would be about where Pittsburgh Landing is. It looks like we are taking Sidney Johnson's left flank, which I forget who was in command of his left. I know Breckinridge was on his right, but I can't remember who technically was in charge of his left. So I'm only bringing 12 out of the 20 brigades that I could bring. Now I do have a total of 41,000 soldiers, which gives us actually a little bit more than the Confederates actually had during the battle. I believe the Confederates had about 40,000, a little over 40,000 troops for the battle. The Union would have 45,000 on the first day, and then add another 18,000 when General Buell arrived on the second day. Alright, so let's go ahead, and we don't have any enemy army details. Let's go ahead and start the battle. Okay, General Grant has transported his army via the Tennessee River to this location, Pittsburgh Landing, and is preparing to advance further south. We're going to attack them at dawn when they least expect us. Our corps will arrive from the southwest. The Yankees are encamped and have most of their forces here. If we attack swiftly, we may be able to catch them unguarded and capture their supplies. The slight ridge at Shiloh Church creates a formidable natural defense and should be seized to secure our left flank. On the right, we have to overcome this hilly terrain, and then we can safely proceed to the north. The last Union defense is expected here at Pittsburgh Landing. Watch for enemy gunboats on the Tennessee River that can be borrowed from a long distance. So to sort of extending history. So our army is starting to advance towards the Union camp. Our first objective is to overrun the right flank of Shiloh Church. That actually was not the first objective. The Yankees are currently encamped and surely would not expect our presence. If we advance swiftly, we're going to have an easy road to push them north. You have the advantage, move fast and destroy them. So yeah, the hitting the Union right was actually not the very first objective. The very first, let me get my cavalry out of there. I'd rather have another infantry. The first objective, not that there really was. In fact, the actual battle plans for the battle were actually severely. Let's go ahead and look over what we have. We're actually severely mingled. There really wasn't actually a plan of attack. I mean, there was, but it's hard to explain. But essentially, Beauregard and Sidney Johnson didn't really truly have a true concise plan of attack, I guess is the best way to put it. They were very disagreeatory on, and not to mention, they sort of went into battle a little bit before they wanted to. They had actually encountered a Union patrol somewhere, I would say, to the right here, under the command of Major James Powell, who was part of Peabody's forces. Peabody had sent out a patrol because he believed, rather than what Sherman believed, that they were under an imminent threat. Now Powell had run into some Confederate skirmishers, but then also ran into a significant Confederate outpost, and a very large skirmish broke out, which actually alerted Union forces in the area. Which sort of brings me to a point of one of the pieces of history that oftentimes gets mistaken is this idea that the Union were completely taken by surprise. That's just not entirely accurate. Like I said, the skirmishing force under Peabody, which alerted the Union, because Peabody, or not Peabody, but Powell then sent out forces to then alert other troops that they were under attack. Sent out messengers. Like I said, and not only that, but the sound of gunfire also alerted nearby units. Now, Sherman didn't believe he was completely under a major engagement until sorry, sort of just planning out my attack in my head. Until he and his staff actually came under fire from enemy skirmisher units. Let's see, I think that's the only one I have left to move. Actually, I'm moving all my forces. I should move a couple divisions north here. Move the Stonewall Brigade out there as well. A line of skirmishers had actually appeared and actually fired a volley into Sherman's staff, killing his orderly and actually shooting Sherman in the hand. And that's when Sherman finally realized he was actually under a significant attack. But this idea that, like I said, a lot of things, and we just had the Grant miniseries on the History Channel. If you haven't seen it, it's a really amazing series. It actually took me a while to watch it. I had recorded it and just never got around to watching it. It as well sort of keeps pushing this myth that the Union were completely taken by surprise, which again, that wasn't just true. In all my readings, I mean, maybe there is some historical background to it, but in all my readings, I've never read anything about Union troops being in their tents while being under attack. I think I'll send the Tigers on the left too. So I've never, like I said, I've never read anything about Union forces being in their tents. Now they were still taken by surprise, because they didn't have a lot of time to prepare. But this idea that they were still sleeping in the tents is often a perpetuated myth, in my opinion. Like I said, I've never seen anything to actually historically, other than like Union newspapers, who first declared, sort of started this myth that the Union was still sleeping in their tents. Yeah, so you get back. And it's been taken by complete surprise. Let me break off some skirmisher units, take care of theirs. Interestingly enough, if you don't know, Shiloh, the word Shiloh, which was just the name of the church here for the local community, actually means, sorry, in Hebrew, also actually means place of peace. So it's very ironic uh, that that it would be known as the place of peace. Given what would eventually come. So we're sort of forcing the skirmishers back. Okay, let's go ahead and get these guys back. Let's see, we see Hildebrand up here. Now, Hildebrand was actually across the river, or this little creek, with, who was it? I believe it was Buckland's brigade. And they, sort of caught a Confederate unit trying to cross the creek, in which they just decimated at the time. So it was right about here. This is actually would have been mostly swampland here. Yep, there he goes. Just taking casualties, facing. So my plan of attack is sort of to hold the Union left here at this position and sort of try and drive up their right. Because if I can, the whole idea of the attack, because like I said, the Confederates actually hit the right flank first. They were actually Breckinridge was actually supposed to hit the Union left first, and the idea would have been to sort of a swinging door and push the Union away from the Tennessee River, where the Union had their gunboat stationed. So the idea was sort of to push them away and sort of entrap them and capture them or destroy them. Okay, so now we got a little bit more, not too much more. Let's use these guys on the left. Fortunately, I only had 12 of the 20 possible units I could bring. So my idea is to push up their right here and just try and entrap whatever forces they have on the left here. Just hold them in place with a couple divisions and then just push up their right in this little area here. Let's get all of our skirmishers back with their units. Now that we're sort of moving into position. What is going on there? They're really charging us. Oh jeez. Get them off the map. We got them in a little bit of a salient here. Yeah. Alright, we got Hildebrand to retreat. Why is Hall shooting? I have really no idea what's going on here. Do it. Okay. I really have no idea what's going on. He's literally retreating into my lines. He just overran my supplies. I really don't know what that unit's doing. Oh, you move this way. You guys move up into their camps. Oh! Oh shoot, I didn't. You guys get out of there. Get out of there. Oh wait, no, I didn't want you to retreat. Alright, I guess I can move these forces forward. You guys go up the run. Move one of my artillery guns forward. Get the first up and around Peabody. Shooting into his rear. Hall was forced to retreat. So we got Peabody routing. Alright. Pogue, you go up north. Like I said, my big thing is trying to cut them off. I don't want them to be able to retreat north. I think I'll do one more volley with the old first here. We got the artillery to start routing. Alright, do one more volley off and then he's going to move north as well. Oh, shoot. Them to shift. Okay, they need to. They're at their run. They're at their run. Where am I? I'll get him up here as well. Start moving my artillery up. Now Sherman actually did put up And McClellan, who was not McClellan. That, oh man, I forget who the other general. McClernand. There we go. McClernand, sufficient spotted. So McClernand and Sherman were really who held the right. Yep, these guys are probably going to get pushed back. I have a lot of troops in the woods, so hopefully they're good positioning. We'll keep them from pushing too hard. Where is Stuart? I just thought of that. He's Stu down here. Get him up here as well. Hold Stonewall. Don't go. Why are you leaving your cover? Get back in your cover. Hare is pushing us, trying to push us near Shiloh Church. Let's see if I can get Stuart to take out that artillery unit. Yeah, Sherman and McCullen. God, I've already forgotten. I always forget the other unit's name. Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's not going to matter. We're moving on to the right. McClernand, sorry. Sherman and McClernand did put up a good fight on the Union right. Alright, so our last corps are now arriving to attack the Union center flank. Again, sort of going away from this idea that they were totally surprised and just ran from the get-go. That's not truth. There's no truth to that. Alright, okay. General attack has alerted the enemy to our presence. We must act swiftly. The Federals are building a defensive line and soon will occupy a very strong position. The center of the Union Army is controlled from this location. Push it forward and take it. I think this is supposed to be Prentice's line. Their left flank must also be secured. It should be lightly defended as our pickets reported, and that should be Hurlbut's. Advance and watch your flanks, General. The Union Army may counterattack from behind those woods. Oh, okay. I was about to say, is this all I'm getting? Alright, let's get everybody onto the field. Who I'm getting at least. So this is not my core units. Alright, well that's some. I think again what I might want to do is I might send like 1 or 2 divisions north here and then flank everybody right. The idea is continuously to sort of push them away from the river, which is what they wanted to do. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I want to climb the slope here. I think I might send them up this road. Send Gibson as well. So yeah, my main attack, I'll send this unit here. It's going to go to the right again. It may take a little bit longer. I think that's what I want to do. I'm assuming more forces are going to come in. I don't think this is where all I'm going to start with. Okay, Bragg is on the field. Bragg was the center, that's right. Stu can't remember who the right was. I mean, the left was. First things first, we're gonna get this cavalry. Because it not shock cavalry, we're gonna get him off. It's interesting, I don't know, I have the volume down really low for you guys so it's not too loud. If you actually listen, you can actually hear the battle raging in the background that's on the left flank. Or our left unit, right? Because it's a smaller force, I think I'm going to leave Bragg with this smaller force. We're going to fast forward. Just a pilot wagon with the larger force. Alright, pause really quick. I think I will send at least one unit to come up the ridge there. Actually, I think I might send 2 units to go up that ridge. And the artillery I want to stage probably here. So Prentice was actually, maybe this isn't Prentice's position and this is just Herbert's. Prentice, from what I understand, was actually was the center line, but was actually located more forward than this. Upon getting the woods there. Like Prentice, who was actually part of Peabody, that unit that had sent out the patrol that first came in contact with the Confederate forces. Gibson, you're gonna have to come up on this side. He was actually, I believe, a little farther forward in front of these fields, and had set up camp there. Not camp, but had set up positions in advance of the Union lines. You guys are gonna have to stop. Chalmers, you come up this north side. Gotta break Stewart's men. You hold. Everybody hold. Come up this way. Supplies hold. They must be in good defensive ground. The Confederates would actually break Prentice here in the middle. I guess I could have sent most of these people to the left. Oh, jeez. If I actually had forces coming up this side, I didn't realize I was going to get Breckinridge's forces. I don't want to move into the woods. Hold on, let me pause. Oh wow, 3,000. So we're breaking Stewart there. And of course Breckinridge as well, so. So Gibson, you start going. Jackson, start going. Let's pause again. Let's move these forces through the woods at least. I know I just said I don't want to move them through the woods, but I'm more thinking these gentlemen down here. Alright, so that's going to be, like I said, a small unit on the left. That's more or less just to hold the Union in place. Not really to launch an actual attack from. And then my main attack is going to come from the right. Have 2 hours to take Larkenbell and Spain Fields. This is just south of the Hornets' Nest. Now, Prentice put up a okay fight, I would say, in advance of his lines, but unfortunately he was just overwhelmed, especially seeing as, again, like I said, he was an advance, so his flanks were sort of in the air. So he was very exposed up farther north, which really, and he had a lot of green troops. So what happens is his troops eventually end up breaking. Oh shit! You need to stop. Stuart rallied. He ends up breaking, and there's a lot of his troops end up retreating all the way back to Pittsburgh Landing. They don't stop running until they hit Pittsburgh Landing. Now he was able to rally some of his troops, but not a whole. Well, he was able to rally some of his troops, and him and WHL Wallace, sorry, were able to set up defensive positions at a sunken road that would eventually become famously known as the Hornet's Nest. Whereas Herbert would retreat from these positions to the Peach Orchard. We're slowly starting to push forward here. Jackson north. Herbert has been seen near Spainfield. Breckenridge is still moving up his core. I don't want to put him at a run. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to break off some skirmishers to attack that small group of skirmishers. Maybe here too. Oh wait, they broke them. Okay. Back into positions. Trying to make the best path to get my artillery forward. So we secured Larkin Belfield. Right, Jackson, you get out to run. I don't want Pond standing out there in the open for too long. In fact, try and get in the woods here. Pond, we hardly knew you. I gotta, you know what? I'm gonna have to get these guys up there to run. A lot of the problems, oh god, WHL Wallace is now reinforcing. A lot of the problems that the Confederates had once they started overrunning these camps, I am gonna start putting pressure over here, I think. Just to try and relieve some of these troops. Pond is now retreating. But a lot of our guns are starting to move into position. push them back here, so let's get these guys across. Oh shoot, that gun's almost out of ammo. So I'm gonna pull in. Shouldn't have moved up my left, I think. Beginning to realize, I think that, oh shoot, okay, so back to Shiloh Church. Union resistance is stronger than expected. Their troops are preparing for a counterattack. We must hold Shiloh Church to keep their right flank under pressure. Don't fail us, General, or we'll have to withdraw. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pause. And I think I'm going to end it here for this episode and pick it up in the next episode. So, thank you all for watching. This is General History signing off, and we will continue this in the next episode. Bye-bye.